This next year, something very interesting will happen, which is the longest and biggest eclipse in the century in August 2027. And it's going to be in Egypt, very symbolic eclipse that represents conjunction of all the forces.
So what can we expect to be happening because of this eclipse?
If you are not using the force of that, well, it's just going to be a chaotic process. It's going to be a huge storm. And if we don't know how to sail the boat, the waves can turn us upside down.
You have a Remembrance series coming up, and it's being pulled from the vaults after many years. Why is now the right moment for humanity to revisit these memories that you have?
12,000 years ago, when kids were born, we used to say to them, welcome to life, the path to death. You will be alone in the vast ocean of the universe. So you need to learn that. For me, the most important thing that I've learned in all my memories was you're gonna die. The idea is to have 3 years of preparation for the arrival of another asteroid, which is Apophis, in April 29. Apophis is a Greek name for the god Apep, the Egyptian god of destruction and chaos. Whatever could trigger it in the next 3 years can oh, it's nice light crossing the sky, or it's the end for our civilization.
Welcome everybody to the Heart Coherence Collaborative. I'm so honored. Today we have our new friend, Matías De Stefano, who's become a big fan favorite of the Heart Coherence Collaborative. And I would love to ask you to start off, is there anything your heart would like to share in this moment?
Well, in this moment, that caught me off guard. No, I would just share that I am very enthusiastic. I was actually working on it right now, on everything that I'm gonna do in the next 3 years. So I'm very into sharing that because I think it's very, very interesting. So that is what is my mind, my heart right now.
What's going on in the next 3 years?
I think it's going to be an amazing test of alchemy. So this next year, something very interesting will happen, which is the longest and biggest eclipse in the century in August 2027, and it's going to be in Egypt, right above Luxor, which is one of the main points of everything that I do, of all information that I have been sharing. And it's a very symbolic eclipse that represents conjunction of all the forces, and so we don't have to take that eclipse for granted. So what I did was to create all around it a whole project of to alchemize the eclipse and the energy that is going to happen. But the whole thing is 3 years around the eclipse.
So yeah, that's amazing. So what can we expect to be happening because of this eclipse?
Well, I think that if you are not using the force of that, well, it's just going to be a chaotic process. And for sure, many changes and many transformations that are going to happen in the planet that for sure a lot of people will see as chaotic and crazy, unless we don't alchemize that and we don't use it in our favor. I would say, to describe this, I would say it's going to be a huge storm. And if we don't know how to sail the boat, the waves can turn us upside down. So that's why we need to learn how to navigate the storm.
Yeah. No, and you're going to be teaching people how to ride the wave?
But the idea is to, what I always like to do is to show my process doing that. So it's not that I teach how to do it, is that I put myself in service to show how I'm committing my mistakes, how am I transforming myself, and all the process that I am supposed to do with my own self, and put it there so people can compare and maybe learn from it and do it and find their own way. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. So you have a Remembrance series coming up, and it's being pulled from the vaults after many years. Why is now the right moment for humanity to revisit these memories that you have? And if you could explain a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. This remembering thing, of course, my personal thing since I was born. And of course, when I speak about remembering, most of people say, oh, he remembers his past lives. But actually, it's not about just that. It's about connecting dots, connecting information. That is also remembering, which is to put the members together again. Um, so all the different parts needs to reconnect again to create an idea, a synapses, an image, let's say. So we all have fragments of that. And what I have been doing my whole life is to try to put those fragments together to try to understand what the image is.
Mm.
And and so in 2019 we did this documentary that I started to explain a little bit about what were the main stories that led me to do that. What were the first memories or things that engaged me into this adventure that I'm doing today. So basically, the relaunching of this documentary that was not launched maybe properly, not properly, but it was not a big thing in that moment because we didn't know exactly what it was for. So we are trying to relaunch it to kind of create the settlement or the base to explain why I'm doing this, why I'm gonna do the next steps of the alchemist and all of that. It's like this is how it started.
Yeah,
Basically, it's like the first episode, let's
that
say.
makes sense. That's cool. Now, what would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned from your past lives and remembering that humanity should know today?
Well, 12,000 years ago, when kids were born, we used to say to them, "Welcome to life, the path to death."
Mm.
So for us, was not about life; it was about to learn how to die.
Mm.
And every day we had to learn how to die. And when we were very young, we were set into positions where we could actually experience death even if we were 7 years old, or like we have to face all these fears. Today, it would be like you're creating a trauma to a child, but
Yeah.
for that time, it was like you have to face this because eventually you will disappear. You
Mm.
will no longer be yourself. You will be alone in the vast ocean of the universe. So you need to learn that. So for me, the most important thing that I've learned in all my memories was you're gonna die, and and
Yeah.
and it's not just a biological thing; it's
Yeah.
also a concept. You die a little bit every day when you go to sleep. You die every time that you realize about something that you I don't know, quit your job, or you're fired, or you end a relationship, or someone dies around you, or there's a shift of your mind. So those are tiny deaths.
Mm.
So, but most of us do it unconsciously.
Yeah.
And when you do it consciously, you are actually embracing death as a way of life.
Mm.
And that is transcendental. I think that's the most important thing that I've
Yeah.
learned.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One thing that I really think our fans would be really excited to hear you speak about, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with them, but the concept of ThreeI Atlas and the Boogosphere and other
Yeah.
recent developments, it seems like we have ancient alien technologies coming to Earth. Can you unpack, in your opinion, what the heck is going on with all these things?
Well, ancient technology of aliens is not coming here. It's always been here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's um, like satellites, like asteroids or comets.
Mm.
They they have they have been a way to communicate and bring technology everywhere.
Yeah.
The thing is that sometimes we expect for it to be a phone or a spaceship or something like that. But when you manage the technology of the universe, your technology is silica by itself,
Mm.
not a phone.
Mm.
Your technology is carbon by itself. So you can use anything that is moving in the universe to create technology. You don't have to build it in a lab and then send it billions of years away in a galaxy to arrive to a planet. Um, you can actually the beings that have evolved in to understand the universe, they don't use cars. They, they use directly the atom of silica. So that's why they have always been here, and there are some of these comets, asteroids, and stuff that comes back all the time that they are mapping and bringing things and decoding things, and it's been like that for eons.
Mhm.
So I don't think this is new.
So basically, that's the message: is that 3i Atlas and Bugosphere, they're just the norm. It's just we're kind of starting to be aware more of these types of things. Is that correct?
Yeah, we start to be more aware of this, but we have to get out of the Hollywood mindset,
Yeah.
I think, to understand most of these things. Because when people talk about they're coming, they're arriving, it's the same thing that people have been saying for thousands of years about the coming back of Christ, or the coming, they're coming, the rapture and all these kind of things, and never happened.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why it never happened is because it's not happening as we expect for it to happen.
Mm,
And we are expecting the movie. We are
yeah.
expecting for everything to happen in 90 minutes. It's like all of this happening. And actually, it's a whole process that has been forever happening in our history. And thousands of years ago, they have contact with us, but not in the way that our science creates contact.
Mhm.
Most of them are just communicating through mind, not through a spaceship.
Yeah. Yeah, and so when we hear about all of this conversation around open contact happening in the next few years, like what is your opinion on that?
My opinion is that we are not evolved enough
Mm,
to actually, for them to actually lose time with us. Um, we are still dealing with very, very um, low emotions,
yeah,
and we get scared or triggered by things that we are not supposed to, like we are still triggered by so many things that we don't know how to handle in our own life.
yeah.
Imagine the entire universe. So we are not mature enough to be in touch with people like that. So it's a matter of frequency, it's a matter of communication. It's like they are always here.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
so they know who is able to speak, why, when, and
Mm.
all of that. And we are not ready for that.
Do you speak with them?
No.
No. Okay. Cool. You have all these amazing programs coming up, so I kind of want to talk about a few of them. You have a journey beginning in December 2025, the Yosoy Alchemia, that's preparing people for what's unfolding in the next 3 years. Could you just talk a little bit about what you got going on in December?
Yeah. So in between December and January this year, I'm gonna try to walk through to walk through a whole process of alchemy. Um, it's gonna be public, so everyone can log in and follow it. So the idea is to have 3 years of preparation for the arrival of another asteroid, which is Apophis in April 2009, 29.
Mm.
Um, and
Could
and
you
the
say that name
middle,
again? I apologize. Is it
uh,
Apophis?
Apophis, yes.
Apophis. Okay.
Yeah, Apophis is a Greek name for the god Apep,
Mm.
the Egyptian god of destruction
Hmm.
and chaos. So it's called like that because a few years ago, science calculated that it could hit Earth and destroy us. But then they remade the calibrations and the analysis, and it's not going to hit us. But it's going to be the closest that we ever experience an asteroid like that. So it's gonna go under the satellites, which
Wow.
is like too close, very,
Wow.
very. Um, so yeah, whatever could trigger it in the next 3 years can, like, oh, it's nice light crossing the sky, or it's the end for our civilization. So it's just a tiny matter of angles. So the thing is that I in all ancient traditions, Apep is one of the main things that existed in the universe at the beginning, which was chaos. And
Mm,
from chaos, that poison, you can create the medicine of creation. So the idea is how can we alchemize the fear of being destroyed, the
mm,
fear of everything finishing, ending, and confusion and chaos and destruction and everything, and alchemize it correctly so we can create medicine from it, which is a creation of a more aware society, where are we going, and what is our purpose, and so on, to manifest it in a different way. So the idea in these 3 years, with the solar eclipse in Egypt in the middle, in August 2027, use all this process of every solstice, equinox, full moon, new moon, every eclipse, all of it day by day to alchemize our creation and to tune ourselves with earth and to balance every poison that we have within ourselves and in this world to try to find the medicine of it. So that's why it's a very long process that I said this is not for a week. This is for
mm.
years.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I'm excited to start that. And the idea is to we're gonna do the 92 chemical elements in our nature, the from hydrogen to uranium. Um, so every 12 days, we're going to work with one element. Like the first element, hydrogen, we're
hmm,
going to work 12 days with it, and then 1 day of integration and alchemy towards helium. And then 12 days of helium, alchemization, and then lithium, and so on. So we're going to be going through our chemistry of the soul. Yeah.
that's great. And how could people join? Can people still join?
Yeah, of course, because it's gonna be open, public. We're gonna have it through Instagram.
Yeah.
Um, we're gonna publish every day something for everyone. Every 13 days, we're gonna have an online meeting that it's gonna be online for everyone in
Mm,
YouTube. So in November, we're gonna start publishing in my social media where to follow it, how to follow every day, how to be connected, everything.
that's
So
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. I kind of want
yeah,
to focus on the 2029 thing that's coming in, but that's really heavy. So I wanna focus on this event you have coming up in December, the Holy Nadate. Am I saying that?
Polinada.
Yeah. Sorry if I said that inaccurate, but you have a group meditation coming up. What's the purpose of that, and how can people get involved?
This year, 2025,
Hmm.
which was like a calibration for the whole task that
Hmm.
basically during 2025, in every gathering, in every meeting, I was receiving information of what I was supposed to do.
Hmm.
So now that I have it clear, so this last event that we are doing in the solstice of December, it's going to be like the wrap of this is the task.
Okay.
So we did 4 events called Holy Nada, which has many meanings. Actually, it's like the transformation of music in Sanskrit, Holy
Mm.
Nada, or the transformation of sound, but also is the sacred void or the sacred nothing. That's another meaning of it. So basically, the idea is to calibrate our frequencies in every solstice and equinox. So we are creating this idea of holy nadas during every solstice and equinox. So the one in December is the last one that wraps the task that we have been doing in 2025, that we did in Mexico, in the Basque Country, in Spain, in Turkey, and now in Argentina, in Patagonia. And so this 4 represents the the work that we did to try to figure out how the task of the next 3 years should be. So this very last one in December is an open gathering, is free for everyone to assist,
Oh.
and it's going to be during the day of the solstice,
Mhm.
in a lake called Nahuel Huapi in Argentina. The whole point of this gathering is to turn on a light or a beacon or a lighthouse for all the tasks that we're going to do in the next 3 years. So the idea is we get together there. We're going to build like a lighthouse all together. We're going to make music together. We're going to have messages, meditations, and all of it open in that beach in the lake.
You
Yeah.
have a lot of really cool stuff going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of music, the reason I keep looking down is because we have had a lot of our fans submit questions to you.
Mhm.
So I'm reading their questions, some like the best questions. So one musician named Sam, who's a phenomenal musician, he asked the question about Yeshua. He said, "Do you see Yeshua as simply an example of what we can become, or do you see his crucifixion and resurrection as something we can actually participate in metaphysically?"
All the story of Jeshua is a metaphysical story. It's not about Christianism. Um, all the Christianism is just a metaphor or a story of something that was much older. He was not expecting for Christianism to exist. He was expecting for another thing, which was the inner alchemy of the being. That's why I am the path, I am the light. It's a whole alchemization of our life becoming divine. And it's not a Jeshua story. Jeshua is another one that told the story and became the story itself. But many others in history did exactly the same, because the story and every step of what Jeshua represent in our world is not about one person, is about a whole concept related to the sun, to the Holy Cross, which is solstice and equinoxes, coherence between thoughts, feelings, and the making. You get crucified when you are not correctly aligned in your truth, which is the center of all of that. So I am the truth, I am the life, I am. Um, so it's a whole process of alchemization the of the year. The 12 disciples is actually the 12 hours, the 12 constellations, the 12 notes, the 12 colors of the rainbow. So there are so many information in the story that has been used for many, because it's a story of our skies. It's a story of our psychology. So some people in history uh, embodied that and became that fully. And I think it's a good example, um, not as an individual itself, but as how an individual can download in himself all the power of a system that lives in our mind for billions of years.
That makes
So
a lot of sense. Yeah, that's great. So thank you, Sam, for that question. And Sam's mother, who is a big fan of ours, said many teens today feel lost, anxious, or disconnected. From your perspective, how can we help young people transform emotional pain into awareness instead of identity and guide them to remember their essence?
it's it's a very natural process in our time that we are over informed because we cannot hear ourselves. And the world has turned confusion in a way of identity. So there's a lot to talk about it,
Yeah.
but it's how the we are entering in Aquarius time. And what is Aquarius? Aquarius is not spiritual. Aquarius is information and constant transformation. If you're not centering yourself, all of that will confuse you constantly because you're trying to adapt to the next step and the next step and the next step. And so you never know who you are, what you're doing. So it's normal in our times of transformation that this is the main topic, that teenagers are lost, that even kids don't know who they are, what to do, and and adults, the the thing that adults have is adults believe that they know. But actually, it's because they are following an ancient system, which was faith, science, like you have to follow exactly what I say. So that's why it's more simple, simply more simpler for adults to say this is this, this is that, because because everyone has been taught that way. But in our new time, where everything transforms constantly, it's natural to have so many options. So I think that one of the main things that we have to face is how to alchemize confusion, how to use that not as a problem, but as the access to every possibility.
Mm.
So so I think that instead of teaching them how to find the right ways to not to be confused, is more about all of that you see there is not true.
Mm.
It's just options. So you can play with the options until you find your own truth. But don't believe that all of those outside are truth. They're just projections, ideas. So it's much better to actually give the option to think about all the things that you see and project in the world to be not true, but to be just options, and that you can play with the options. So as a kid, as a teenager, you have to play with options to discover who you are. The problem is that our society thinks that we have to believe in something and become something. And that is and that is such a weight in our minds all the time. What am I? Who am I? Like I don't know. People is even doubting what sex they are. So so uh, but because there's a whole pressure in the system telling you have to choose, you have to be something, and actually the universe doesn't care. Like the universe doesn't care. The universe cares for you to experience as much as possible until you discover who you are. But not there's no pressure from the universe telling you you have to be something. I think the alchemization of confusion is very important to practice. And this is not just for teenagers. This is for everyone.
Yeah, I really love that answer. So thank you for that. You know, I heard you talk earlier about like the Hollywoodization of some spiritual concepts. We hear people in the spiritual community talk all the time about the big shift coming right now. You know, there's always a big shift coming. I'm curious, in your perspective, has that shift happened? Is it happening? Is it coming? I'm curious where you land on that topic.
The big shift of consciousness happened in the 1890s.
Nice.
Not now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it happened like almost 200 years ago.
Yeah.
It started 200 years ago, and that was the big shift of consciousness.
Mm,
We are living it. The thing is that we'll always complain about something because we are always in the path of evolution. So there will be always something that we have to change. So we are not going to be fine anytime. So we have this religious thing of hoping the shift is coming, the light is coming, and blah blah. So we constantly have this idea or this need to say it's coming next year, it's coming in 10 years, it's coming um, because we never accept actually the transformation, and the transformation is a whole long process. So if you think about all history of humanity in the past 200 years, check the whole history and you will see the shift of consciousness. Like in the past 50 years or 60 years, the shift of consciousness has been amazing.
yeah.
And it was not the people that is living now, it was the people in the 50s.
Mm.
So the people in the 50s did the great change of consciousness. We're just living the result of it. So because the whole human story shifted in those years after the Second World War. In between the first one and the Second World War, the whole human consciousness shifted into a much bigger awareness of the world, technology, the inner world, the freedom of the soul, the freedom of the mind, the acceptance of everything. So the thing is that if we are constantly complaining, expecting something religious to come, something utopian to come, so will never come, because the spiritual world is not physical and utopian doesn't exist. So if you keep projecting that, it will always be a projection.
Our mission here at the Heart Coherence Collaborative is to get people in touch with the healing power of the heart.
And we really need your help. Right now, only 1% of viewers subscribe. We are aiming to take that number to 6%.
The reason why we want to do that is the more people that subscribe, the more people in the world can learn the magical practice of heart coherence.
So please help us out. If you ever listened, if you love this message, please just take a moment to subscribe.
Thank you so much. We love you.
We love you.
Interesting. Yeah, that's fascinating. It's a good segue into our next question, because one of our fans said, you've spoken about solar activity as consciousness speaking through the sun. With recent flares and geomagnetic storms, what is truly happening to our light bodies? And how can we consciously collaborate with these energies?
Well, it's like, I would say that our bodies are devices that work with 3G, and the sun is upgrading to 5G. So when you have this upgrade, some devices stop working, or they start to have disease. They get ill. And one of the main things that get ill is the magnetical field. And our magnetical field in our body is anchored in the center of our brain and the heart. So this point starts to be a little bit out of tune. So we start to get crazy because too many things, and we lose the magnetical north inside of us. We are out of rhythm, so our heart starts to be more stressed. So when all these solar flares come to Earth, the magnetical field of Earth is also affecting our magnetical fields and how we start to perceive reality, how we perceive everything, time and space. So if we don't upgrade our devices, so all that power is like going from 110 to 220 in electricity. So you can blow up and become like ill, crazy, having a lot of problems in your life if you don't upgrade that frequency. That's why I think it's very important to think about how we live our lives, what relationships we have, if we are following what our body is telling us to do, or we are just keep on going in the old systems that we are using. And sometimes using our old systems is not to go live in the mountain. It's just about, I don't know, eating more fruits or whatever. Like it's something, sometimes it's something really tiny that can shift our entire perception. So yeah. But of course that's why so many things are changing so fast today, and whoever is not adapting to that constant shifting, of course is suffering it.
Yeah. So we hear a lot of people talk about different events that are happening, different solar events. It can almost like induce fear in a way, but what I'm hearing you say is that we just need to listen to our bodies during those events and follow the intuition that we're receiving. Is that correct?
Yeah. Fear is the natural reaction, which is totally acceptable, because our cells needs to survive. So every time that we have fear, is our body saying, there's something changing and I don't know how to adapt to it. So fear is not something bad for nature. It's bad when instead of trying to understand what is shifting, I just keep with that fear. unaware of what is shifting around me.
Mhm.
So in this shift of magnetical fields, of the solar storms, a lot of people that study those things, or a lot of people that are connecting with it, when they transmit this,
Mhm.
they do it from the fear, from
Yeah.
like everything's changing and something terrible will happen, and we have only 3 years for this to happen. So it's like it gives so much stress that actually you are not getting ready for the adaptation for that to happen, and you're losing time and energy just being worried about what is going to happen.
Mm.
So basically it's like if there's coming a storm outside with
Mhm.
lightnings,
Mhm.
and we have to cross the street to go to another place, but there's a storm outside, and there are two types of people. The person that opens the door and says, "There's a storm, it's terrible, we're gonna get wet, and maybe a lightning falls in the street, and what could happen?" And another person that comes and opens the doors and says, "Everyone has coats." So just it's just that difference. Like everyone has coats, so and maybe rubber boots so you don't get struck by lightning, and that's it. So get ready for adapting to that storm instead of fearing it and going under the bed, because it's just a storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you had to look forward over the next few years, are there any storms that we really should be paying attention to? I know the one in 2029, that's 4 years out, but is there anything else, any other big events that you think we really should be not worrying about, but being ready to go dance in the rain, I guess you could say?
Well, in which terms? Cosmologically, social?
Ooh,
Well, they're
maybe
connected.
go with both, actually, if you have time for it.
Of course, sometimes they are connected, because the more crazy um, the astronomy gets, also the psychology
Mhm.
gets crazy. So the next 3 years towards 2030, um, we are living in a process that everything is going to be in so much tension. There might be a lot of revolutions, socially speaking, because of the tension of what is happening with the sun and the magnetical field of Earth. So most people will be more susceptible to the mind shift, and because our minds are not fully coherent, they can be pulled easily to anywhere. And when the north is not clear, when the magnetical field is not strong enough, because of these asteroids, comets, or the sunstorms that will happen, um, our minds are also very um, easy to break, let's say. So that means that there's more collective hysteria. So it's much easier for people to just create revolutions and chaos, and so around 2030 to 2036 are years that we have to pay attention to a huge revolution that could happen related to technology, but also the ancient world trying to fight the new world, and of course it's related to religion and our mindset. Um, Probably a third world war. That was one of the main things that we can expect, because of everything that is going to happen with the magnetical field. It's much more susceptible for everything to explode easier. So how to get ready for that? And we should always think that every huge war that happened only happened because the world was in that level of consciousness.
Mm.
And everyone who lived the war, with a different level of consciousness, were able to change the world. I mean, we can see what happened in the Second World War. like all the human rights that we have today, all the freedom that we have today, all the things that we accomplish after from the 50s to till today, it was a leap of evolution just because a lot of people woke up from that level of consciousness because it was like shaking the entire planet.
Mm.
So a lot of people just realized what was happening. And I think that today we are in this confusion and this cloud that we don't know what is happening. And in the next 5 to 10 years, the conflicts that we might live because of the shift of the magnetical field and how it affects our psychology, I think it's going to be one of those biggest shifts that could happen. And yeah.
Yeah. And now, just so people understand, what is actually happening geomagnetically and with our sun? Is it just an increase in energy is causing an increase of intensity in the sun and geomagnetically?
It's a natural thing that happens every a few thousands of years,
Hmm.
uh, which ties the core of our planet with the core of the sun and the cycles of the sun, and it basically moves the magnetical field, moves the heart of the planet, the core of the planet, so it shifts the north. And one of the things that is happening today as we speak is that the magnetical North Pole is moving from the west to the east, and it's been in the west for thousands of years. So to shift towards the east is like if we had our brain pointing this way and suddenly we point to that way,
Yeah.
which means suddenly we are going to see the world in a very different way, the reality in a very different way. So that's a whole shift of reality for the entire world, because you have to think about the planet as a head. So if this is the planet and this is the magnetical North Pole, and it's been here for a long time, so you've been seeing everything through this way of observing the world. So all the power has been here, but suddenly we're starting to shift it to the other side. So we're going to start to see it with this other option. And that changes everything. This is a change of politics, a change of culture, a change of religion, a change of it's a whole new mindset that can enter in conflicts between the two hemispheres of the planet, the
Wow.
west and the east.
Yeah.
So when that happens, it's kind of a war. It's kind of a huge conflict.
How long is that going to take to play out? How long, like that shift from in the hemispheres there?
Oh, I don't know, but it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. I think it's just a decade or something like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
it's actually in the last 5 years, it's been moving faster than ever. So yeah, even I don't know if it was before the pandemic or after the pandemic. I think it was before the pandemic that many like all the navigation systems of airplanes and ships had to recalibrate the north for navigation
Mm.
because of that, because it was moving too fast.
Mm.
So, but we are so disconnected from nature that we think, oh yeah, we have to calibrate the planes. But what about this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
What
our
is it?
brain is also
Yeah.
conducted by magnets. I mean, we are iron inside of us. So basically, if our blood has iron,
Yeah.
so when the magnetical north moves, all our iron moves to the north. So our inside is also shifting, and that process is very chaotic.
Yeah. Yeah. So on our channel, we teach people about heart coherence, rhythmic breathing through the heart, and then accessing elevated emotions like gratitude, appreciation, joy. If everybody collectively were able to tap into this energy, do you think that would be enough to shift the planetary grids and have an impact? Or do you think destiny is kind of sending us off to where we're going regardless?
Of course, when you like tuning your heart, which is basically the clock of your
Yeah.
life,
Mhm.
tuning your heart into the frequencies of joy and so on, it clearly creates a ripple effect of vibration and frequency, that the most people are there, the more you can actually create a balance in that process, of course. So the more people we engage into this process of transformation of frequencies in our lives, we can actually shift the way of how things are happening. For example, we were supposed to have a Third World War a few years ago, but everything stopped because the awareness of the planet was different. And one of the things that created awareness was during the pandemic, when everyone was inside. So everyone had to be forced to meditate. So I never saw the pandemic as something terrible or something bad. I saw the behind system of it. Like, yeah, it was terrible. There were bad politics. There were a lot of things. But imagine the entire planet meditating for an entire month. How it shifted the climate, the pollution, even the mindset of everyone. Like after the pandemic, a lot of people were more connected to their true self. Like, I want to change my life. I didn't know where I was going. So there was such a huge change just because everyone stopped for a moment and they were forced to it, but everyone stopped for a moment, and instead of replying the program, they could think about the program. And so the more people can stop for a moment to take a deep breath and to rethink about that, it will shift the whole thing. But because our frequency is very low, the first thing that we should do is not to go directly to the joy frequency, but the sadness one. Because joy and sadness is the same. It's just the same thing, lower or higher. So how can you use sadness as a way to rise the joy? And most of people, when we talk about going to joy, to love, and so on, most of the common people think that it's the opposite. Sadness is the opposite to joy. Hate is the opposite to love, and it's not the opposite. It's the same thing. So because it's the same thing, but one is lower frequency, the other one is higher frequency, you cannot compare them as two things. You have only one chord, and the only thing that you're doing is trying to balance how you play it. Is the same instrument, is how you play it that changes it. So so that change of mind also, I think it's not just about rising or to think about a joyful thought or tune your heart into love. It's about what is actually in my heart. What is the tool that I have? And sometimes it's hate. Okay, so let's work on that hate. Let's understand where it comes from, because the power to go to love is in that hate. It's not the opposite. So I think that's why I love the idea of alchemizing the poison into medicine.
I love that. That's awesome work, and I really appreciate you focusing on that, because I feel like that's rare, and we need more people really helping people with those emotions, you know?
Yeah, because we are there, and the planet is right now in if you watch the news or just the reels in Instagram or or YouTube or whatever is out there, you can see that the people that is trying to spread more love in the planet are the ones that are more angry. So
interesting.
It's very interesting. So it's like, if you want acceptance, why you are using not acceptance to be accepted? You know? So it's because we polarize the concept, and actually it's the same.
Yeah, it does really seem, like observing the spiritual community, it's like there's so much lean towards behaving in, these higher emotions, gratitude, appreciation, bliss, love, joy. And it's almost like these lower emotions are seen as bad, and we try to avoid them. And as a result of avoiding them, like you're saying, it kind of, it's like what you resist persists type.
Yeah, it controls the world.
Yeah. We're
So right
stuck.
now it gets stuck in the same energy. So that's why it's so important to face the darkness. Uh,
Mm,
and the reason why darkness controls most of our systems in our society is because we believe that we are light and love, and the ones that are in the governments or in the power or whatever are the evil.
mm,
And which means that we will never be in power or control of the planet if we believe that power and control is the evil.
mm.
So you are given the power constantly to a system to control you so you can be the good one.
Yeah.
And the only thing that you are doing is to become the evil
Yeah.
because you are destroying the system constantly just by creating the opposition.
Mm,
So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. In a daily life, you can compare this with someone that is abused physically or mentally or
mm,
emotionally. Most of the people that are the victim uh, actually need to be the victim.
mm.
They are asking for it because they don't know other way. Um, so you are feeding that energy uh, in the need of someone that is gonna hurt you so you can be someone in this planet. So if you are not hurt, then I'm not part of the community that is hurt. So I'm not gonna be accepted if I have a good life. So I
Mm.
have to be oppressed in order to feel that I am someone. And that is spread everywhere in every culture, religion. Um, so if you don't speak about something, if you don't claim about a statement or something like that, you are not being accepted. So you have to be the victim of something. And that is a system that if you feed it constantly, then it's going to destroy everything. It's constantly destroying everything instead of actually being in pure actual love or acceptance of or joy. Um, um, so it's a very tricky thing that takes generations to heal, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a really powerful conversation. It's really expanding my mind, and I appreciate the authenticity in it. One thing we hear a lot of people talk about right now in the spiritual community is this concept of the new earth. And we hear, so, I've interviewed many different people, and I hear many different answers in regards to like how the earth is evolving. Are we splitting into two earths? Are we splitting into infinite earths? Is there just one earth? You know, I'm very curious your take on this.
Well, in the infinite universe, there are so many Earths, so
Yeah.
many options, and
Mhm.
uh, and basically we are kind of trying to decide in which one are we tuning in. And for some people, the new Earth is going to be in a very low frequency. Like, for example, right now, if I think on how I live in this planet, I live in a complete different reality from what other people is living. And you can tell that there's people that live in a completely different world, a different earth completely from some other people. That there are some other people that think that Earth is at the edge of a change because everything is terrible. And some other people are not feeling that. They are just living in nature. They are connecting to people. They are living a completely different story. And so you can actually walk through these two earths and today. And it's all about the tuning of which reality do you want to live in, which doesn't mean that you are ignoring the other one. And some people believe that because you are choosing one earth, you are ignoring the other one.
Mm,
And that's not how it is. You can let's put it in a let's put it in a in this way. Um, you are in a relationship with someone and you realize that that relationship is toxic, and you say, this relationship is toxic, but not because the other person is toxic, because we usually think that, oh, that person is toxic, I'm the good one.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no, it's toxic because our combination creates toxicity.
Mm,
So in order to end the toxicity, I have to split myself and to choose another journey, another path to find something more harmonious. And when I do that, it doesn't mean that this other person disappeared. It's creating a different life in a different reality, but it's there. So now I can live a more harmonious relationship with someone that actually matches with me, which doesn't mean that the other person has died or doesn't exist anymore. I can now decide that person was the evil one, so I don't want to see that person anymore. Or I can choose and say, I decided to live in my own frequency and I accept that the other person has a different frequency than I do. And I don't have to kill that other person so I can live this reality.
mm,
So that happens with the Earth too, with the entire planet. If you don't resound with these people, it doesn't mean that you have to kill all of them to get rid of them so you can be free,
yeah.
let's say. So you just have to create your own reality in a different way, with beings that are more aligned to you.
Mm,
And we can live those different Earths, because when you go to nature, it's like if the sequoia trees in the west coast of the United States says, we are the greatest of all, so we have to take care of every other plant in the planet. And so we have to kill everything that is different to us so we can adapt everywhere. And of course, if you put a sequoia in the middle of the Sahara, it will die.
yeah.
Because nature has adapted for palm trees to be in the Sahara, and evolved in that way. So the diversity of realities of different Earths can coexist like in nature happens.
Mm,
But humans, we believe that the Earth has to be in only one way, like a monocultive.
mm,
Like if we all are soy, then we all plant soy, and that's how the world is going to be beautiful.
yeah.
And actually, that's not how nature works. There are many worlds within one world, many realities.
Yeah. I really love the conversation today about emotions and how we have to alchemize, the fear and the confusion, right? And even just hearing you talk about this celestial body coming towards Earth for 2029, there's a part of me that's like, that could be scary. I don't really get that way, but I could almost imagine that some people listening would fall into that trap. So I just would love to tap into the programs that you have available one more time for anyone listening on how we can prepare for these types of things and how we can actually alchemize these emotions that in society are portrayed as so negative.
Mm-hmm. So if we are not aligned with ourselves, anything can be destructive. So anything that we can think of changing our life for our body and our mind, it would be destructive.
Yeah.
Because we are stuck with our idea on how I am supposed to be and how the world is supposed to be. So the first thing for alchemizing transformation is to transcend the idea on how I'm supposed to be and how the world is supposed to be.
Mm,
That's the main thing that we have to change. It's not about how I change my life or the world or anything, or what should I do to get ready for that. The first thing that we have to do is to release that concept. So when you release that concept, you open to any possibility. And And the world is very big, and we have so many options to do so many things. But sometimes we get trapped just because we are observing only one point of the 360 points that you have in this planet. So the first step is to actually question ourselves. Who do I believe I am? And what do I believe the world is? So my idea of myself and the world is the one that I have to question first, even if it's a beautiful one. Like I have the most amazing observation of myself and the most amazing observation of the world. Why? Why do you have that? Where does it come from? Is it from your culture, from your tradition, from your parents, from your own spiritual path? But then realizing, oh, that's just one perception. It's not the actual truth. It's just one perception, which is totally valid. It's not something wrong. It's just a perception. So one of the main things to alchemize reality is that everything is an option and everything is a perception. So from there, you can start playing with reality. So even the most chaotic situations or the most perfect situations can be useful because you are open to any possibility and not trapped in just one. And I think that's why, for example, in Buddhism, I think I don't know much about Buddhism, but one of the essence of Buddhism is that Buddha found enlightenment not because it was looking enlightenment, because it was able to be itself anywhere in any situation. If someone invites you to eat meat, you accept the meat. If someone invites you to the mountain, you go to the mountain. If someone invites you to New York to eat a pizza, you eat a pizza in New York. So it's like I am every possibility, so nothing affects me. And when you are able to do that, you can actually start changing the world because you are not trying to change the world according to your perception. You're just transforming the world because you adapt to the possibilities of the world. And I think that's one of the main things that we have to start shifting in order to walk a journey, a path to acceptance of anything that could happen as the medicine for that transformation. Even the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, that's such a powerful message. I really want to make sure that anyone listening can get in touch with your work. So how can anyone listening support you? How can we support you?
Well, of course, during the journey that we're going to start, and I'm going to start sharing by mid-November through social media. I'm going to start like guiding when are we going to start, why are we going to use certain spots in the planet, all of that. So I will start telling the story to prepare us to begin in January with the alignment task. So I would say for everyone that resonates with it to just keep the track of what the story is going to be in the next month, to be very wide open to any possibility, because what I'm going to share is not the truth. It's just a perception to help to calibrate that. And so the idea is that we're all going to live a story. My idea is to live it all like an adventure for the mind and not as a truth that we have to change. And so I would say that you would help me sharing it with many people and to being open to receive anything and to use it in your daily life. And of course we have a foundation that Ontos Foundation that any donation will help for us to keep doing this and doing it openly and for free, of course. So awesome. But everything's going to be shared. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll put all those links down below. And I just want to thank you so much, brother, for coming and joining us today. It's been awesome meeting you and just hearing all this wisdom. Is there any final message that you have for the Heart Coherence Collaborative?
I would just say, because of the name, that a lot of people in spirituality say about follow the heart.
Mhm.
And so I would say that the heart is the main clock that we have inside. So it's connected to the law of rhythm in the universe. So the reason why we all say follow the heart is not a spiritual thing, it's about a calibration system of our inner rhythm related to the rhythm of Earth, to the magnetical field of the planet. So when we say follow your heart, is to start paying attention to the rhythms. And the rhythms means maybe I have to respect the timings on how I accept a truth or a new information or a new process in my life. Some people go faster, some people go slower. So we don't have to do it all in the same pace, in the same time. Sometimes if something doesn't resound, follow that, because otherwise it creates stress in our brain. So follow the rhythm, follow the heart is basically to try to follow the rhythm. Where do I feel balanced in every beat? And that calibrates the magnetical field. So
Yeah. I love that message so much. So thank you so much, brother, for coming on. This has been a true honor. And I hope everyone listening joins Matias in his upcoming courses. I'm looking forward to it. I really think I'm going to join because it seems so authentic. So I appreciate everything you shared today.
thank you very much for the space.
Bye, everybody.